Welcome back, brothers, tourists, and ladies, to another edition of the Chapter House, the Old Glory Club show where you, the viewer, can get to know the twisted minds of the people behind the Old Glory Club chapters. I am your host, NotMeNotYou, and joining me today are two representatives of the Yellow Dog Pack, Central Florida's OGC chapter. And those two representatives are Len Sassaman. How are you, Len?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
And Flemish Micah. Good to have you guys.
Hey, how's it going?
So going forward, I'm just going to refer to you guys as Len and Micah just for the ease of my tongue. But yeah, let's just get started. The Yellow Dog Pack has far and away my favorite ever Old Glory Club chapter emblem, and that is the drawing of the yellow dog that you all saw at the beginning or in the thumbnail. And here we go. Our producer brings it up just in time. Uh, could you guys give us a little bit of the history behind both the name, the Yellow Dog Pack, and this iconic image?
Yeah, so the name Yellow Dog Pack that really harkens back to kind of some of the history within Old Florida. One kind of like the old Dixiecrats, where the saying was that you'd rather vote a Democrat even if it was a yellow dog, and for the essentially like us being the Yellow Dog Pack. The image right there, we went through a few different flag iterations, but we just loved this yellow dog. And in fact, our chapter president, his wife, actually drew this image right here by hand. So this is a custom piece of art right here.
No AI slop allowed in the Old Glory Club. I really appreciate that. So the term "yellow dog" it stems from you said old timey politics. Is that why you guys picked it up, or was there a little more to it?
Yeah, well, the yellow dog, they also call them the Dixie Dingoes. Back in the day, they were very instrumental in the old cattle ranching portion of Florida's economy back in the day. If anyone is searching for a new book, A Land Remembered is a great historical fiction in this regard. Um, but we don't have quite the wide open plains of Texas, and so the dogs proved to be very adept at helping herd cattle throughout Florida, and largely to be shipped off to Cuba and other places. So it's that's kind of where the political saying came from, was from the actual usage of these Dixie dingoes being used by the old Florida crackers as they were moving cattle across the state.
So Florida cracker, that I've only ever heard that term used derogatorily. I didn't know that there was a different type of cracker that found its home in Florida.
Oh yeah, it's the natives, multi-generationals are, my grandpa is like, oh yeah, I'm a Florida cracker. It's what we kind of define ourselves, or call ourselves when I'm a native and I've been here for a while. It's definitely not a derogatory thing down here. And anything can be spoken derogatorily, but whenever from cracker to cracker, it's it's typically more of a identification with having a shared heritage.
So it comes from the cattle industry. I didn't know that Florida had a cattle industry. I mean, being from the Northeast, most of our history of Florida was when the Spaniards landed there, and then when people bought land and started building on it, and really nothing in between. Was the cattle trade big in the founding of Florida?
Oh yeah, we were one of the world's largest cattle producers for quite some time, and are still one of the nation's largest. It's constantly sunny and rainy here, so grows grass well. Oftentimes, we will handle the midlife part of cattle, and ship them back off for slaughter elsewhere. But yeah, no, Florida cattle is still a large industry, especially now that we don't really have much citrus anymore. Growing up,
Yeah, I
around...
mean,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's a good thing that the Chinese didn't get at the cows yet.
Yeah, well, they're certainly trying with the various other bullshit they keep getting caught. Excuse me. They keep getting caught bringing in or trying to bring into the country. I don't know why we put up with that, but it happened here. The greening disease was, largely from that, as we've seen with a couple other recent fungus they've tried bringing in to attack the wheat crops.
Truly amazing stuff. I'm surprised that the governor hasn't done more about that, because while he wasn't the best presidential candidate, he certainly seems to be doing well as a gubernatorial, I guess, governor. But I not being from Florida, you might have a different opinion.
Most disappointing things ever done for me is run for president. Everything else has been pretty good.
All right. So tell me a little bit about the Yellow Dog Pack's history as a chapter. I mean, obviously all chapters are going to be young, but the Yellow Dog Pack was the 4th ever Old Glory Club chapter, which makes you in the top 10 oldest. And are either of you founding members?
Yeah, so on the official level, yes, but Flemish Micah did predate me. So maybe I'll let him kind of speak on that.
Yeah, I wasn't quite the one of the original members. I think I started coming after the maybe the second or third meeting that we had. But that was actually just reaching out to some people on Twitter and getting pointed to an actual chapter that was in the area.
Well, that's as close to OG as it can get. I know that you guys put in some work when a bunch of us were in North Carolina dealing with Helene. Another hurricane hit in the middle of the cleanup operation, which it hit Florida. I remember everybody was very worried about it because it was a Cat 5 before it made landfall. But were you guys get involved in that at all?
Yeah, so we got a nice 1-2 with Helene and Milton. Although I will say the devastation was not. We are more prepared and ready for that than our brothers to the north. And so there was a significantly less loss of life down here, but people still haven't fully cleaned up. Almost, a year later, we're 10 months later. But yeah, we organized a group of our guys to go and clean up, just at friends of the club's houses. One of our members' family has a property that was affected, and it was a community, and so kind of organized and went over there, hit up Costco on the way, did a little barbecue, brought a bunch of water, and just cleaned up for a weekend. It's a little bit, but there was many such cases of that going on all up and down the west coast of Florida for months. So it was just kind of doing the little part that we could in the area that we could. It's definitely nothing quite like Mr. Ford or any of the others that definitely deserve much more praise. But it's when the dumps are full, the stuff's gotta go somewhere.
I don't imagine you guys have barges where you can just ship it out to I know you're on the Atlantic, but it might be better off just shipping it to someplace like India where no one will notice. But no, it's good. It's good to see always Old Glory Club representation helping out their communities. Do you guys have a lot of other like community activities that you guys get into, or I know that Florida gets hit with hurricanes pretty much every other week during hurricane season, so you guys are pretty used to what you have to do to prepare and go through it. But it doesn't diminish the fact that you guys put the time in. Do you guys what else does the Yellow Dog Pack get into besides just your official meetings when you go over business?
Yeah, so besides our official meetings when we go over for business, we kind of been something we I'm just gonna harken back to our pirate days that we just straight up stole from the new Ivy League is the lodge system. I was met up with Son of Haster a few months ago, and I loved it, so I just pitched it to our chapter, and that's something that we've implemented where we're kind of like try to meet up every once a month over kind of like the various areas that we're spread out in, because believe it or not, Florida's a pretty large state and everybody doesn't live in the same area, so it becomes a little bit more difficult to meet up every month or every few weeks. So I know some of the some guys we've been kind of like reading through books, or we'll meet up for cigars, things like that. I know another. I think we actually have an event that we might be teasing for later on this year. I don't know if we want to get into that now or if we're saving that for the end.
Well, you mentioned it. You might as well just let everyone know so they're not chomping at the bit the whole stream.
Yeah, so we are going to be. I think it's this December over in sunny Florida. I don't know like all the details I can say at the moment right now, but I think there's going to be a film that we are going to be showing of maybe of a certain hunt of a certain gentleman.
Now that is quite the teaser, because we do know that there are some notable members in the Old Glory Club who do love their hunting. But we'll be sure to recap that at the end, so nobody forgets that they should be constantly checking in on the progress between now and January. So you guys said that you set up a little book club. Like, is this something that a lot of your members participate in, or is this just a couple of guys who are like, hey, this is the book I'm reading right now?
So it's a few of us right now. I think there's maybe about 4 or 5. 3 are actually doing the reading. The other guys usually just show up and drink. As book clubs sometimes do. Where I think one of the members, he was like, "Hey, I've been like wanting to read this one book for like longest time," and he just wanted to get some people to like read it with him and actually like just like discuss. But yeah, like right now we're reading through some Imperium.
No, that's great. I mean, that's a heck of a text. I'd love to have someone to discuss it with, but all of my friends who've read it are only online. So what are you going to do?
Many such cases.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's good. So when the people show up just for drinking, do they get a nice lecture, or is it more just like the guys who read it are talking to each other, and the guys who are just there for the camaraderie are just kind of talking?
Yeah, they're kind of like more just like sitting there, like might chime in or ask a few questions, but they're kind of just like sitting there and like, okay, I'm just gonna drink my beer.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at least they gotta stay engaged somehow.
Yeah, Imperium is quite the tome, and I certainly wish I had a group to discuss it with, because all I had was Pete's fireside recommendation. I told him I had finished my last book, and then when I met him randomly at a event in 22 or 21, he's like, "Oh, you should read Imperium." And I was like, "Okay," and I bought it, and then it showed up at my door, and I was like, "Oh my!" that was kind of my first foray into this. So, but it would have been helpful to have a couple other guys who actually was a little bit more immersed in the milieu than just beginning of the journey me.
Yeah, it could be a little intimidating. I got lucky. My copy was owned by one George Bagby, and he likes his marginalia. So going through it, I feel like I'm getting little thoughts from the man himself. But yeah, you guys mentioned that Florida is a deceptively large state. Like, when I think of Florida, all I think of are the beach areas. And like Jupiter, because I know there's a lot of companies that are incorporated out of there. But what are some of the challenges? I mean, you already discussed a little bit setting up the lodge system, but what are the challenges you've run into from being such a large geographic area?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's several of them. One being recruits. We get people, since we're the only official chapter in Florida right now, we get people in Jacksonville, Miami, Tallahassee, Naples, emailing us, asking for help and or finding a lodge, and we just those are each 4 hours away from either Tampa or Orlando, which is 2 hours away from each other on your typical day. So just the pure size has made it difficult to organize everybody. We have had people drive from St. Augustine to Tampa for a meeting, and we're certainly not going to stop anybody from doing it, but it's not something we can expect people to do. So it's made it a little challenging to like, hey, well, okay, you're a fully inducted member of the Yellow Dog Pack, with the duties of that, but also you live 4 hours away. So that's been one. I mean, the other one is obviously just driving 2 hours to be part of the group. So that's where the lodge has kind of come in to try and fix that. And trying to find for our tangential events, like we're planning a hunt, we're planning a boat day. It's like, okay, well, the person who has the boat is down in Sarasota, so the guys over in Orlando got to drive 3 hours to go there. So really, I mean, the big challenge is just the geographical distance, and then it makes it difficult to like actually vet the people who are in Miami, Jacksonville, and we can't really just tell them to be like, okay, we'll start your own thing, because we don't know you, but also it's difficult to get to know you whenever it's in an 8 hour round trip for one of us to do that.
Yeah, so I mean that seems like a pretty that's a pretty regular thing to have to overcome for somebody with a large geographic area. The new Ivy League reports much the same. Are you at the point now where you have so many members that you're not necessarily like not everybody in the group can know another person intimately?
For our so our like official inducted membership is still manageable to that, but we are for the pipeline and or friends of the club, certainly we're definitely at that point. We were getting quite a bit of interest in the first and second quarter of this year, and then for obvious reasons within the past month or two we've paused things. So it's gotten to that point, but we've to that end we've had to establish a new vetting committee and events committee. So we've started to try and bureaucratize, I guess, the process to make it more manageable. But yeah, we are the original group. Obviously, knows each other fairly well, but it's definitely growing to, not be so intimate and known.
Yeah, straight past Dunbar's number. That's a good problem to have. Does the distance required, and you said that some people will drive quite a long way. Do you find that that kind of serves as like a little gatekeeping thing where the people who are really into it, make sure that I mean, if they're going to drive 4 hours, hang out for a while, then drive 4 hours back, that's some form of dedication. Is that something that is more regular, or is that like a few and far between kind of thing?
That is definitely a unique case. I mean, that's one gentleman that will do that. But I mean, half our chapter is Orlando area, and half is Tampa, with some Sarasota. So typically, what a lot of us have the luxury of working remote or flexibly, and so oftentimes if we can, we'll just go over in the afternoon and just work from a cafe or something like that before the meetup. But yeah, I mean, I'd say literally half of our membership base has to drive 2 hours, depending on where the meeting is. So I definitely would call it a forcing function for determination.
So tell me a little bit about the lodge system. I know that this is something that other chapters have been talking about as well, because states, for our one European listener, I'm sure you've heard this a lot, but a lot of people outside the United States don't realize just how large the United States is. So Micah, when you guys were kind of setting that up, um, did you set it up formally, or is it something that just kind of coalesced?
It was kind of something that coalesced. It was an idea that it was a problem that I've been wanting to solve for a bit, just because I knew that there were so many people from so many different areas, and really to expand past that Central Florida area and really kind of get to like other areas of the state. Just because we have people that are over in like in the Panhandle, down in South Florida, over in like Jacksonville, St. Augustine, and really being able to like incorporate them into like what we're doing and what we're building down here in Florida. When I heard, I was like, "Oh, this is the answer to my prayers." So I pitched it to the president, our president, and he's like, "Yep, nope, that is perfect. Let's do that like right now."
That's great. Have you guys like kind of enumerated any like powers to the people who have like head up the lodge? Does each lodge have its own president and vice president structure similar to the overarching organization?
Maybe not as structured as that, but there will be. We do have kind of like a person that's designated as like the head of each lodge. Nothing like formal, but it was kind of just that person that stepped in to fill that need, that filled that gap. And where basically it was the person that decided like, yeah, I'm going to organize this.
That's great. We got doers getting things done. You mentioned some of the events you guys have coming up, and something that hasn't come up before with other chapters. Do you guys request dues of your members?
Uh, yep. And in fact, I think I need my treasurer is probably sending me messages right now asking me to pay. But yeah, we do require dues of our members, and I think it helps to set like a level of seriousness to the organization. That it's not just something that you can just haphazardly join or be part of casually, but it's that one, it's like a barrier to entry, for to make sure that you actually are serious, but also it kind of allows us to do interesting things, to really be part of our communities, have an impact in our communities. That like when there's these things like hurricane cleanups or stuff like that, that we actually have a pool of resources that we can draw from. So I think it's like something, and even to put together like larger events that we're not just like having people like do it out of pocket, but we have like that pool of resources that we can draw from, or even like the was it mutual aid, any of that. You need funds, you need capital, and this is kind of like our way of building that capital.
Well, that's perfect. Because you guys mentioned, Len, you mentioned that you guys have a hunt coming up. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, and this is maybe our way of forcing it to actually happen, since we've been talking about it, but now we're telling people about it. Now we actually have to do it. There's plenty of game in Florida. Boar being the largest and most annoying. So there's several. We're trying to follow in our the OGC national president's image, and trying to bring it out of just like, oh, okay, we're doing a social, or everyone's just getting around together and talking shop, or talking yaki, but actually getting outside and experiencing the nature, and the camaraderie of going out, being out, and staying out, and then also seeing if we can get some meat that we can bring home. Obviously boar is not the best eating, but we have a good deer and turkey season here as well, and plenty of land to do it on. So once things cool down a bit and the bugs return to the hell from which they came, we're hoping to put one together in the fall, winter, probably before we do this screening of our illustrious chapter masters.
So do you guys have a lot of hunters in the chapter? Is it or is just this something like you've got a couple and you're going to try and bring these people along to get their hands dirty?
Well, I'm certainly no hunter, but I often, whenever I want to learn a new skill, is I say we're going to do it with a group, and it forces me to it forces me to do it with people who know what they're doing. I've done that with shooting and golf over the past couple of years, and this kind of seems like the next natural one. A couple of guys brought it up, and I was like, "Oh, that's fun. Let's do that."
Yeah, we've had a couple of people talk about putting together a hunt before, and I hope that you can serve as an example for the rest of us to actually put that together, for good. You also mentioned a boat day. Now, are we talking like just like lounging out on the boat, or are we talking like people are going to learn how to sail?
There's not much of a sailing culture down here, I will say. We do have windsurfing, but no, this will be more of a just a lounge and a smaller circle, of people to just continue to grow together, kind of as brothers in the area. Maybe commit some light piracy if the seas call for it.
In true Florida fashion.
Yeah, you guys are blowing my mind with this Florida lore here. I would have expected there to be a heavier wasp presence, which would mean more sailboats, but also that you guys have a deer and turkey season. I didn't know you had anything other than tightly packed, densely populated swampland down there.
Now, where do you think the deer and the turkey are?
That's our nickname for
I can't
migrants.
imagine swamp deer. You have an amphibious deer down there. That's amazing.
We're not allowed to call them that anymore.
You're not allowed to call it, yeah. So do you guys? So one of the things that we run into a lot is that people in the Old Glory Club have tried to be a part of other organizations of men, and unfortunately, the proud tradition of men's groups have really fallen off in recent years. The advent of modernity, the introduction of drunk driving laws, boo, has really, destroyed men's spaces. And even things like the Knights of Columbus or the Masons or the Elks Lodge have more just become drinking clubs or pancake cook-offs. Do you guys have a lot of overlap with other organizations down there?
I don't think there's been any organizations that we've overlapped with so far.
Yeah, none like those specifically. We do encourage people to join another group, whether that's your local beach volleyball, church, volunteering, realtors association, Bitcoin meetup. We have several guys, as part of that. The point that we want there is not necessarily to try and co-opt the local Mason Lodge, because the Boomer Supper Club will, do their own thing, but to get people into the community through non-expressly, our guy things. For one, to keep them grounded in normedom, but two, to also find and build relationships with people who actually might become good members, so that way it helps organically grow the network and the community.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to get on the bad side of the boomer waffin. They might be old and slow, but they still have all the money. No, that's great. So, like the kinds of people you attract, what's the major age demographic that you've got there in Florida signing up for the Old Glory Club?
I think it's mainly the mid 20s to early 30s that we've been drawing our resources from. Sorry, am I getting an echo?
Yeah, there is an echo coming through. Len, I don't know if it's coming from you, but I'm muted. Carry on.
Yeah, so the age demographics that we're primarily like attracting to the club, it's probably like mid 20s to early 30s. I think we have a few guys are in their late 30s or maybe even like early 40s, as well as a handful of guys in in the early 20s. Have to recruit the Zoomer Waffen over into the club, uh, but primarily it's kind of like that millennial age group that we have.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you mentioned that you want to encourage these men to be more well-rounded, and have you seen that there's a lot of mentorship going on?
I wouldn't. I don't. I don't think we've quite established that yet. I think it's been good for some of the. I mean, I'm in my late 20s. I got called Unk for the first time the other day, and I almost, went Benjamin Button on the spot. But um, we're cultivating that, and the young we're definitely coming in. I think are obviously, as some of what we've seen have been the more radical ones. So it's interesting being a moderating force. That's not normally the role that I play. Um, but we are starting to bring in more dads into the group, and so I think it's definitely been useful, at least for me, as I'm kind of approaching that period to see what life looks like 10, 20 years down the line. Um, but I don't know if we haven't quite established the mentorship side of things yet. I mean, I'm obviously kind of on the younger end, but some of the dads have been good a good resource providing context for where we're at and what this, I guess, sphere, if we should call it, used to be, and how just it's obviously the we're so over to it's so back pipeline kind of it gets shorter and shorter, but just like how back we are, I guess you could say in shorthand, that we are able to have these national organizations. I mean, like the conference in Nashville was phenomenal. I mean, like a lot of these guys are saying like this was unthinkable to have our guys literally having Twitter occupied government. So it's definitely been beneficial to have the old heads give their context.
All right, that's some slang that I recognize. I've never heard or witnessed anyone be called Unk, but I'm looking forward to the day that I am called old by a Zoomer. I'm sure it's going to be very, very soon. Micah, are you what? I mean, if you don't mind my asking, what age cohort are you in? Are you a dreaded millennial, or are you in the Zoomer Waffen?
Oh, I am a dreaded millennial. In fact, I don't know if I'd be considered a zennial. That old. In fact, I don't even know what age that
Oh, so
is.
like an elder millennial. I mean, it's too bad because combining millennial and Gen X and millennial and Zoomers would sound exactly the same, right?
Yeah, so
Unless you
I'm one of the older millennials, so I'm kind of up there, turning 40 here soon.
perfect. Have you gotten the age the ageist scorn of the Zoomers yet?
Honestly, I find them the ones that I fit in the most with. I don't know. Always been just, I guess, I just being part of like that internet humor. I don't know. Just speaks to me.
No, I mean that does seem to be something that is ubiquitous in the Old Glory Club. It's like Paul Gottfried saying that as he gets older, all of his enemies are getting older too, but all of his allies are getting younger. So it's very good to see. You guys had mentioned like wanting to kind of get that mentorship spun up, and seeing other people in the organization hitting milestones in life. What how does this fit into your guys' goals personally? in joining the Old Glory Club and helping to keep it running.
Len, I don't know if you want to take this off first, or you want me to.
Yeah, you go ahead.
All right, yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I want this to be something that's multi-generational. That, I can, see my children one day, or my nephews, or them being a part of. That this being something that it's not just a flash in the pan, last for a couple of years, but that we can really have that lasting impact in the community, in the state, in our families. Where, this is something that we're not just building to build because we want to talk to some friends online or something like that, but no, actually bringing something that I can bring over to my children, that I can see them grow into, that they can be a yellow dog man. That sounded weird.
They could be a member of the pack.
There, that sounds a lot better.
Oh, that's great. I mean, Len, does that kind of echo your own sentimentality towards it?
Yeah, honestly, I that's where I'm at now. When I first joined, I didn't really know what was going on. I met one of the original founders at a Mises event that my other organization was helping host, and we spoke for a while and was like, hey, why don't you think you'd enjoy coming to this one? And I was like, okay. And so after after a meetup, I was like, oh my, I thought I was reading too much. These guys are much further down the rabbit hole than I am, and they yell about it a lot louder than I do. So it took a while for me to, because I listened to Pete, but I was not the most familiar with the Old Glory Club, so it took me a while to get an idea of what it was that we were doing. And once I kind of grasped that, I was like, okay, this is something that is going to be something that lasts, and something that is going to help shape the future of each chapter is Lord willing is going to have a hand in shaping their state, and then by consequence the country. And given the past 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I mean 5 for me, that's what we need more men that are of sound character and well read, and have a plan to begin reasserting themselves. And this is a generational project, as any project worth doing is. And so I definitely would echo a lot of what you said, but for those who may not be so steeped in the lore, we may want to come up with a TLDR for people who would fit well. It's been an honor and a privilege to get to know the people that are in the chat. So that in real life.
We can't escape the internet. It's always going to be with us, unless we get a Carrington event, which has other problems. But man, wouldn't that allow us to touch grass? Do you guys feel that? So this is something that the sentiment that both of you described is something I think is shared among most people in the OGC that I know, and definitely among everybody in the Central Committee. When you said you were getting a lot of interest towards the beginning of this year, and hopefully well into the future, when you get these new recruits coming in, or you go to meet these people, do you get the idea that most of them are on the same page, or what is the average expectation of say a new Zoomer recruit?
I gotta say, sometimes like you'll read a questionnaire that somebody will send over to us, but when you meet these people for the first time, I can't be helped but blown away with every single new person that I've met that's walked into like one of our group meetings, one of our hangouts. That it it is just so amazing, just the caliber of men that we are bringing into this, and it's not just where like they're well read or they're well spoken, but just like what they do, like who they are in the community. Um, like, that it's time and time again that we really are bringing in some of like the best and the brightest that are out there. Then that just gives me so much hope for what we are building, for what we are doing. That it's not just a couple of people that just like want to get together and like drink some beer and shoot the shit. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, that does happen quite often, but it's just so amazing to see kind of just like who we are bringing in here, who wants to be involved with this project that we're doing.
Yeah, I definitely think this all selects for a certain kind of guy. I don't think anybody that we've met with has been someone that we wouldn't want to keep meeting with. The worst we've had was just a guy who was awkward socially and maybe spoke a little loudly in public whenever we were meeting. But everybody's been, just top notch. I definitely think the content that's put out by the OGC and its members filters very well. If our recruiting pool is any indication.
Yeah, I've heard from some other chapters that every once in a while a recruit will come in that doesn't really seem to know what the Old Glory Club is about, which always begs the question, how do they hear about us in the first place? But I'm glad to hear that this sort of mentality is so prevalent in the young men of Florida. I I get the idea that Florida has a higher population that's a little bit more concentrated than the other states. You guys know what the population of Florida is off the top of your head?
Allegedly about 28 million.
28.
Million.
That's a lot of people. So yeah, that's great that that's a huge pool to draw from. I guess if anyone was to expect any chapter growing swiftly, it would be something like Florida. Do you guys make any forays up into the dark and unknown places north of you? I know um, there's like a peach colony up there. Do you guys know any sympathetic men from there yet?
Yeah, I think even some of our members that we initiated in, they ventured up north to try to get the a Georgia colony started. Kind of a reverse of what happened over with the I think this early colony of Florida. I think it was Georgians that were coming down to Florida, or let's say the other way around this time.
Yeah, anything north of Tallahassee is practically north of the Mason-Dixon for me.
So it's just as as unknown as Yankee Land. Yeah, so if there was anything that you guys went through when you were building the Yellow Dog Pack that really stood out as something that was difficult, that you could maybe let the other chapters know uh, right now that they're not alone in facing it. What would that major thing be? And Micah, you want to start off with this one?
Yeah, so one of the big things that we realized pretty quickly is having an actual space that we can meet at is so key. Uh, I think we bounced around to maybe about like 4 or 5 different places before we finally settled in our current meeting location. But just like finding a place where it's big enough, because we were actually outgrowing some of the places that we're meeting early. but it's one that's big enough, but also just like has that atmosphere that like just screams like, yeah, like this is perfect, and that like actually like facilitates conversation, that like we can like get into like just like getting to know people, having like just like really great discussions, without getting like interrupted by somebody trying to refill a drink or something like that.
So was that like obviously a lot of these things start off in bars. Are you guys still meeting in public places, or were you able to establish something a little bit more club private?
We currently have something a little bit more club private, that's a little bit more exclusive, that we're meeting at now. I haven't been to the location yet, but I look forward to seeing it in person. But so I'm kind of just going off of what everybody else is telling me about it, but it's been nothing but like absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, for a time, we were meeting just in a truly private space, but the building owner, through his personal life issues, lost control of that building, and so did our tenant that was renting from there and allowing us to use the space. But the new location, I believe, is absolutely perfect. It's a 104-year-old building. It's all historic and wood, and I think the vibes are immaculate, and the clientele are also of high caliber. It's so but that's also the same issue any organization has trying to start anywhere, is finding a friendly space that you can reliably use, and in a cost effective way. So I think we've definitely been blessed to have locations for our lodges that facilitate this. But also,
So are a lot of these
sorry,
Oh, I
go
was
ahead.
just going to ask real quick. Were a lot of these the ones you came to later? Were they through leveraging relationships within the Yellow Dog Pack?
Yes, exclusively. Um, originally they were public locations that were in a central location, but now through one of our members, we've been able to utilize the spaces they have access to, or are members of. And another issue that aspiring chapters will have is the administrative costs, which are mostly time. As the OGC continues to pump out its myriad content, and people find the chapters near them, you'll be getting emails. You'll need to be setting up meetings and vetting and questionnaires, and so there is the bureaucracy that naturally spins up as an organization forms. So having we had a couple people manning the email account for a time. That helps kind of spread the load. So and everyone wants to meet up at the bar, or wherever. Nobody wants to respond to emails and do the corporate filings. So find you a guy that likes paperwork and managing, and put him on it.
One would hope that with the amount of people coming in to us from the internet, that we would have enough autistic people in every chapter to have at least a couple who enjoy doing paperwork. But this does seem to be a perennial issue throughout all organizations in general, especially ones for volunteers. Um, when it comes to retention, I know that this is a young organization, as everyone within the organization. When I say young, I mean the Old Glory Club hasn't been around that long. But have you had kind of hit and run members, or has everyone that joined kind of stuck around?
Nobody really that I'd say like is hit and run. Only time that we would have a member leave is when they actually like move out of state. If they like move over to like a neighboring state, or up north over in Yankeedom, that we try to make sure that they're connected over to OGC club if there is one nearby.
Well, that's great. We're gonna start wrapping it up a little bit, but what are some of the other things coming up that you guys want want people to know? So say somebody is in the audience who is thinking about joining the Yellow Dog Pack. What are some things they can look forward to besides the hunt and the boat day?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, that we have a event that we're going to be putting together over in December here in Florida, where we're going to be screening feature film for I guess a local hunter that he put on like for a big game hunt. He shot the entire thing, not just animals. But yeah, so we're gonna have that over in December, and I think besides that, maybe some like more like smaller things with just getting together, meet up monthly. But I don't know, Len, anything else you can think of?
Well, to clarify, the other thing he shot, not being animals, was the film itself. It was not.
It was the whole country he was in.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know if he's publicly announced. You know, I know we're kind of beating around the bush. So if he has discussed this, but then we can kind of be more specific about it. But if not, then we can continue to be vague. But we will be.
Yeah, I don't think there's been any specifics dropped about it yet.
Okay. Well, then everyone can continue. Everyone can continue to wonder and bask in the esoteric of it. We'll be renting out a local theater to show it, so we'll be inviting our regional OGC friends to join us for that day. I believe the Virginia chapter is hosting a regional conference in October. We aim to do something similar early next year. Probably, I think we've discussed March. We want to supplement the fantastic event that was the OGC National with more regional conferences that are maybe more accessible to more of our guys, give us more opportunities to interact with the other chapters and build those relationships. So one can expect the Yellow Dog Pack to continue to expand around Florida. Adopting the lodge system has kind of cleared the way for us to continue to help our brothers around the state organize. And I mean, we very well may end up being one of the larger chapters of the OGC here in the near future.
Well, we fully expect it, as especially on top of the fact that it seems every red-blooded male is fleeing the rest of the country to go to places like Florida. But let's take a glance over at the super chats. We got one from Son of Haster. Salute to you, sir. For $5. With the night off, I can actually listen to the start of the stream for once. Great series so far, gents. Looking forward to this one. Well, thank you, Son of Haster. He was one of the guests on our second episode with the new Ivy League. So always good to see him in the chat. And from Melon with $10. For the tall king of Florida, long may he reign. Yes, I'm of the impression that the president of the Yellow Dog Pack is actually quite a tall man. Is there truth in this?
That's exactly how he was described to me on my first meeting. I didn't know anybody else part of the chapter, but they just said, look for the really tall guy.
Perfect. At least it's not just a rumor. All right, guys. I really appreciate you joining us this week. If anyone wants to find you on social media, where, if that's something you want to share, can they find you?
We don't have any social media, I believe, but you can email us if you would like to be part of us at yellowdogpackinc@gmail.com.
Or just reach out to the Old Glory Club Twitter account. I'm sure they'll get you hooked up over to us.
Well, perfect. Thanks again, guys. And thank you, ladies, brothers, and tourists, for joining us on this week's episode of The Chapter House. Next week is going to be the Delaware Crossing Society. So be sure to tune in same time, Wednesdays, 9 p.m. And be sure to check out Pony Express Radio on Thursdays at 8 and American Spirits on Mondays at 8.